Chapter 6. I managed to get a bit more sleep Thursday night, but still nowhere near enough. I realized I was going to be a zombie for the next 4 years. "You look tired," Mum said when I went down to breakfast. I nodded. "A bit." I noticed she looked tired too. She slid a plate of fresh-baked blueberry muffins in front of me. "Well, don't work too hard." As I reached for a muffin, she added, "But work hard enough, all right?" "I will. You don't have to worry." I broke the muffin in half and watched the rising steam. "I guess the way you like to read, you'll have an easier time in school than Bobby did." "Yeah, it helps if you like books." I ate the muffin, then grabbed another to eat on the way to the bus. This time I made sure not to fall asleep during the ride. My exhaustion might help explain my act of stupidity. When I got to English class, I pulled out my list of Tom Swifties and passed them to Kelly. That was step number 1 in my master plan. I figured she'd laugh, then Julia would ask her what was so funny, and Kelly would pass them over. The first part worked. Kelly laughed. I could tell when she got near the end because she blurted out that "ew" sound girls make when they bump into something especially gross. It was probably wholeheartedly that pushed her over the edge. I took it as an ew of appreciation, since she still laughed. Vicky Estridge leaned over from the seat behind Kelly and asked, "What's so funny?" Kelly passed the list to her. After an ew or two, Vicky gave it to the kid on her right. Before I could get the list back, Mr. Franca came in and hit us with a quiz. By the end of the period, I didn't have a clue about what happened to the paper or whether Julia even saw it. "I lost my Tom Swifties," Scott said listlessly. I was almost too tired to care. At least it was Friday. I had the whole weekend ahead of me to sleep, or to waste time sharing my thoughts with imaginary creatures. September 7th. So, you formless clump of cells, you're probably wondering whether I learned anything today. You bet! Listen carefully. This is important. Never try to impress anyone, especially not a girl. It won't work. You'll just end up feeling stupid. If you're a girl yourself, just ignore this. But since I don't have a clue about how to talk to girls and couldn't possibly have any advice for one, I'm going to assume you're a guy. Meanwhile, the workload keeps growing. We're starting a novel in English, To Kill a Mockingbird. Weird title. I wonder if there's a sequel where they make fun of hawks. You know, to mock a killing bird. Sorry, that was really awful. I must be more tired than I realized. But that's not going to stop me from going to the movies. I'd ask you to come, but I don't think the seats are fluid-proof, you wet, oozing mess of ichor. I met up with Kyle and Patrick in front of the Cinema 12 on Milford Street. "Where's Mitch?" I asked after I bought my ticket. "Don't know," Patrick said. "He's out somewhere, I guess." "Screw him," Kyle said. "I'm not missing the previews." He headed through the doors. Patrick and I followed him. This will work, I thought as I dropped down in my seat. I could get my homework done and still have a normal social life. I figured I'd catch up on my sleep, then tackle the homework on Saturday afternoon. There was nothing I liked more than sleeping late on the weekend. It was a perfect plan, except that the phone woke me up the next morning. I figured someone would get it, but it rang 4 times. Then I heard the answering machine from the living room downstairs. Still half asleep, I listened to Bobby's voice. "Someone pick up? Come on. Please?" I thought about crawling out of bed, but I knew I had a shot at falling back to sleep if I stayed where I was. "Anyone there?" He sounded desperate, but I was desperate for sleep. "I only get 1 phone call." 1 phone call? Shoot, I knew what that meant. I went downstairs and picked up the phone. "It's me," I said. "Is Mom there?" "Yeah." I could hear the sound of the dryer. "I think she's in the basement." "What'd you do?" "Nothing. Just get Mom." "Hang on." I went down to the basement. When I told Mom that Bobby was on the phone, she raced up the stairs. Her smile didn't last long. It was pretty easy to figure out most of it from listening to her half of the conversation. "The police station? Oh, Bobby, what did you... So it was just parking tickets? How many?" "Oh my, that's a lot." If you didn't have the money, you should have told us. No, it doesn't matter if you don't have the car anymore. You still have to pay the tickets. Don't worry, we'll get it all straightened out. No, I can't do that. I have to tell him. We'll be there right away. I love you. Bye. She sighed, hung up, and went to get Dad. He's in jail? I asked when they came downstairs. It's nothing, Mum said. Just a little misunderstanding. They headed out. I headed upstairs. I was too wound up to go back to sleep, so I picked up the notebook. September 8. Bobby's in trouble. It's no big deal. He's had a lot of bad luck recently. He totaled his car last month. He wasn't hurt. No one else was either. Just the tree. I wonder what it felt like for you when Mom ran up the stairs. Fun ride? Want me to see if I can get her on a roller coaster? The movie was awful, by the way. I'm still glad I went. I think Kyle's pissed at Mitch because Mitch found a girlfriend. Patrick doesn't seem to care. I'm not sure how I feel about it. No, that's a lie. I wish it were me. Oh crap, this is starting to sound like a diary. Next thing I know, I'll be telling you who my dream date is. Oh crap again, I already did that, didn't I? Guess who's home? Mum called from downstairs. I closed my algebra book. 2:00 already. I'd started around noon. Wow, homework could really swallow time. Someday I expect to look up from a textbook and discover that I'm 50. I ran into Bobby halfway down the steps. He had a pile of clothes in his arms, mostly flannel shirts and jeans, topped with t-shirts, socks, and stuff. As high as they were stacked, he could still see over them. Hey, Squirt, give us a hand. He nodded in the direction of the front door. Sure. I squeezed past him and went out to the driveway where Dad had left the car. The trunk was filled with Bobby's stuff. Dad took Bobby's toolkit into the garage. He's staying here for a while, Mum said, passing me a box of CDs. I noticed Bobby's Fender Stratocaster guitar in the back seat. I helped bring in the rest of his stuff, then sat in his room while he hung up his clothes. You move out of your place? I asked. He shrugged. Sort of. I owed rent. How come? No money. What about your job? I was late a bunch. I had to walk because of the car getting totaled. They got an attitude about it and fired me. I was looking for another job, but it's tough without wheels. Yeah, must be. I flipped through his movie collection. He had some pretty good action films. You still remember being a freshman? He shook his head. I'm not even sure I remember last night. Why? Nothing. What is it? A girl? How'd you know? He threw a shirt at my head. It's always a girl. So what's the problem? Well, how'd you get girls to notice you? I never thought about it. I guess they just notice me. They'll notice you, too. You're a Hudson. We got the power. He flashed me a grin. Right, they'll notice me if I paint myself orange and glue hamsters to my shirt. I helped him put his movies and music on his shelves. I was dying to find out how he felt about the baby. Mom and Dad must have told him by now, but I wasn't sure he'd even want to talk about that. When I got up to leave, Bobby said, "It's all going to change, you know." What? School? He shook his head and pointed downstairs. Everything. After the baby's born, they won't have time for anything else. Sure they will. Bobby stared at me. Stop lying to yourself. I was only 4 when you were born, but I can remember how much it changed things. I'm not lying to myself, I said. It was a lie I really wanted to believe. Nothing's going to change.